Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. I am your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer, Hondo Carpenter on Sports Illustrated, and it's great to be with you today. As you know, it's a bye week. I am here in Kauai. I'm not going to apologize for it. As you can see, the beautiful background. It is gorgeous here in Kauai. John, I'm joined now by my buddy, John Shop, who joins us each and every week. John, Shannon and I were talking. Really wish you and Alicia would come here with us. We try to come here every bye week, once a year for the bye week. It's just good to have a break and enjoy Hawaii. So, anyways, my friend, doesn't matter if I go on vacation. I'm still working. It's time for the podcast. Let's dig in. And by the way, before we go, I got to read a viewer email. Okay.
Sure.
This is from Ron Deutsche. I sure hope I got that right because I don't want the other to be correct. Ron Deutsche. Ron Deutsche says, Hondo, I've learned your secret to beating John. You always let him go first in the pick six, which it's not the pick six, but that's what he said. So then if it's close, you just pick with him, so you only get the cherry pick. He should make you go first every time. I'm going to go first then, John, when we get to it.
That's fair
Give
enough.
you a
Yeah,
But that's not what. All right, we'll get to that later. John, we kept hinting if things didn't get better, there was going to be some significant stuff in the bye week. We were correct. Luke Getzey, Coach Craig, Rick Scarmangelo are out. The offensive line and quarterback coach. Your thoughts on the Raiders?
that's why I had those special black glasses for those that could check them out. The thoughts were this was the time to make the change. The thoughts were we've talked about the importance of the bye weeks on this show going back to last summer. Things are moving quicker and quicker everywhere in the world, including the NFL. So it doesn't matter that this is not a change that you would have seen a couple decades ago. It matters what's happening now. I saw the entire press conference that Antonio Pierce gave earlier this week. I'm sure a lot of folks did. He basically laid it out there for you. It's very simple. It is really a results and production based business. That's the nature of the NFL. Something had to be done. Regardless of what the players were doing and what you can do with players, it's not a big deal to change at this point. What do they have to lose? Ideally, turnovers, because sometimes you hear people talk about turnovers. It feels like they talk about it too much, but then you look at the stats, you listen to Coach Belichick, and he breaks it down for you that the number one stat besides points that determines whether you win or lose or not is do you lose the turnover margin? If you are even, you have about a 50-50 chance of winning. If you are not, you got about less than a 1 out of 3 chance of winning. So that's got to change most. This is the time to do it. I'm a little bit intrigued about what they do. How different is it going to look? I'm more alarmed. When you got to play 8 linemen, which never happens, like the Raiders did in Cincinnati, how much can you do? What can you do? I don't know. I'm interested to see what they might do with the roster, if there's anybody they can find off the street. I'm also interested to watch them turn over the stones. This is what we got to do from here. They know it. Turn over all the rocks in your organization on the field to figure out who can do what. Then you can start to lay out your puzzle pieces and figure out how to put them together. And, oh, we need this piece here and we need that piece there. That's what the Raiders organization has to do with the remaining schedule. They've got to make the most of it. They can't waste any time. They understand their fans are beyond floored. It's understandable. And I think they probably resign themselves that they're going to be floored until they show them positive steps and wins. So the timing, I think, makes sense. It's part of the business. And I am uniquely interested to see what happens with Scott Turner from here because we're literally from the same neck of the woods.
You know, that's pretty amazing. When I saw that, I was pretty excited about that one. Let's talk about expanding the roster moment of the week. Caleb Williams. You and I have been hammering on this. We know there's a lot of players unhappy with the NFLPA. The NFL is going to go to 18 games. That is happening. That's not an if, that's a when. A lot of frustration. Let's talk about, again, we've hammered it. We've been at the lead of it. Let's talk about the expansion and let's talk about Caleb.
Because you say expansion to 18 NFL games, I think that might get me to expand to 18 guitars, which would be pretty cool. I'm close, but I'm under that now, but I think that might be a good enough reason. So this week we have a great example. I don't know, it's only the top pick in the draft. And we've got great commentary on the spot from a guy that knows the sport both ways. What I mean is he knows the college game, he knows the pro game. That is Charles Davis. He knows what he's talking about. He's seeing Caleb Williams in a game that clearly went the Cardinals' way. The game is already over. He's wondering, why is Caleb Williams in here in garbage time? There's no toughness to prove. There's nothing good to prove. And sure enough, Caleb Williams gets injured. I'm sorry. This does not make sense to me. This is your rookie quarterback, the face of your franchise. I don't think he should have been out there for the 2 minutes. Hope he's okay. That's what Charles Davis said. Charles Davis is 100% right. We're telling you what Charles Davis can't say on air, but sure enough, has to be thinking off air like everybody is. You got to expand these rosters, game day rosters, to 70. There's no reason for Caleb Williams to be down in the field, on the field, playing a game in the final 2 minutes when there's mathematically really no chance that the Bears can come back into that. There will be another example this week. This was really close to a fireable offense. What happens if Caleb Williams gets a serious injury and is KO'd for the year, and they may not have him back until next November 1st? If that is the case, you don't need to worry about pronouncing Eberflus much longer. You got to make a change in Chicago. I don't know what is going on here. I don't know if it's a coaching issue. I don't know if it's a general manager issue. I don't know if it's just a simple innovation issue. Somebody's going to figure this out. Somebody's going to lead from the front. Somebody in the meantime is going to start making changes that stand out a bit on the field at the end of games. And maybe people will take notice. Why am I thinking that's a Sean McVay type thing? He's going to say, of course we did that. Here's why we did it. This has got to get expanded. This is a joke. We talk about it each week. If I could, I'd add one note to the Scott Turner thing, just for the folks out there for the fun. Ironically, and I didn't realize this until I saw the news and I said, oh, wait a second. The last high school football game I went to in Virginia, where I grew up, was Madison at Oakton. And the quarterback for Oakton was this guy named Scott Turner, of course, son of a fantastic, innovative mind, Norv Turner, one high school over. So the world comes around small sometimes. For me, it was a small world moment. I was like, wait a second. I think that's the last high school football game I went to in Virginia. Now look where everybody is. A lot of eyes on Scott Turner and whatever comes of this Raiders staff. The pedigree is there. Certainly the bloodlines are there for him. This could be a big opportunity for him, depending on what exactly he's doing.
All right, John, let's turn now to the national TV factor in ejections.
How about a piece of news by one of these guys who is quickly ascending to the very top of the coaching ranks? We're talking, of course, about Mr. Dan Campbell. He says, hey, my guy got ejected on Sunday because we were on a big stage. His quote was hilarious. I don't think it's true. It's obviously meant in jest. He said, they don't care about 1:00 games in New York, saying that part of the reason that the Lions player got ejected, Branch, was because this was a 4:25 featured game. I don't think that's true at all. You don't think that's true at all, but it does not do us much harm. What do we want from officials? We really want them to evaluate and call the game as they see it, as equally as possible, regardless of weather, location, time of game, influence, etc. That's not impossible to do in pro football, but I'm sure it's a challenge. It may be more difficult at different levels of the sport. It may be difficult more so like in college basketball where everybody's you're in an environment. Shouldn't be that difficult pro football. It definitely shouldn't with that eye in the sky, the closest to an off-field official that we have now, the New York Review. But you love Dan Campbell because he's sticking up for his players here. He's saying, hey, this is probably what happened here. He's bringing to light something that needs to be extinguished. So the league can go ahead and thump their chest here and say, no, we don't do that. Here's why we don't do it. We try to call them all the same. And that's what they really should do. That'd take the somewhat slightly negative light and turn it into a positive. But I'm curious what you think. I don't buy what Dan is selling there, but I'm not too opposed to him saying it.
Totally buying it. I talked to enough people around the league. They think it's a later game. The more eyes that are on it, the more the NFL is. There's a lot of people frustrated with the NFL that feel like it's become so focused on what everybody thinks that it's losing its identity.
I think it's under. I mean, obviously,
Let me just tell you, I had one person today text me. I'll tell you off air who it was, and said, "What did you think of the branch?" And I'm be truthful, I didn't see it. I was working, so I didn't get to see it. But I had saw the highlights, and I said it kind of looked like I mean, it didn't look that bad to me. And the person said, "Look what time the game was." So I know that's what they think.
you're talking about it's not a small difference in audience of 15 million to 10. It sounds like it's only 5. We lose perspective how different it is. What we want from the league is to fund itself better. We want people on the competition committee who that's their only job. We got plenty of ex-players. I saw 2 talking last week that would be great. Ike Reese and Mark Schlereth. How about that? How about something like that? Put somebody in there, 2 or 3 people in there that's all they have to do. They're not working in the NFL. Get the rosters the right size and get the officials and the technology capable of calling the game as accurately and consistently as possible. If there is some kind of route that this might have not been a call, they got to do behind the scenes work to straighten that out. Nobody wants that. This is not college pro football. This is not peewee football. This is the most competitive pro sport in America. We want it on the up and up as best as we possibly can. If they need some advice on how to do that, call somebody in Las Vegas. None of us want to hear some suggestion like this again. It's bad for the sport.
John, I had a player a couple of weeks ago say something to me, and I was going to wait till the offseason for you and I to discuss it, but you kind of hit on it there. And he said that he would like to see the NFLPA and the owners come to an agreement on like who hands out punishments or reviews. I don't necessarily care about a review. I think you just put another official there. Like if a player's going to get kicked out or a player personal discipline, using a third party. He said, I don't like the fact that these people work for the league. What do you think of that?
I think it's a great idea. And of course, you want to make sure you don't have too many cooks in the kitchen. So something like a 3-person panel might make some sense. Maybe an ex-player, an ex-administrator, an ex-coach, something like that. I don't think it's a bad idea. It's something the players are going to have to bargain their tail off for, because why do the owners want to give up all this control and power? Can you imagine? I mean, some of us had fun with some of our favorite candy last week. Maybe we still have some left. Some of us have a favorite putter or guitar or wedge. We want that
shotgun.
Yeah. I mean, a hunting rifle, whatever it is. Imagine having like ownership of the most popular thing in the world that you're aware of. Mm-hmm. That's got to be a lot of power. To get some of that away needs to take a pretty severe majority of the heads in that 32 owner meeting. Some of those heads are not so level. Some of them are fantastically level. And some of them, I think, coming into the league are getting better. And I think we're going to see some more better ones show up. So I like the idea. The players probably have to bargain their tail off for it without getting too bureaucratic. I think it's a good idea. And I'm slightly encouraged by, again, closer to an off-field official, the eye in the sky, and some of the technology we hope to see coming to the NFL as soon as next year. Can we get there soon? Can we get there immediately? It would be nice. Sometimes you think that the NFL moves a little too sluggish with some of the stuff in between seasons. I know, and the overtime rule has come up a bit again, and I'm sure it will again later this season. We want somebody looking out for our interest as fans of the best sport that there is, constantly figuring out a way to make it better. And that would probably be one.
Let's talk about Barkley's insane dance move.
How about that reverse hurdle thing that Saquan Barkley looks great. Great highlight. Looks like a video game. Let's pump the brakes on people flying around in the air. Some of us are old enough and not that old to remember California, Golden Bear, Javad Best. Remember, I think he was on the Lions for a bit too.
Yep.
He became, unfortunately, infamous for being very fast and being thrown very high in the sky and coming down hard, and concussions, serious damage to him. Barkley's move was great. It was fun to see, but if it goes wrong, that's the last play we see Saquon Barkley playing in the NFL. Le'Veon Bell was Le'Veon Bell. Fantastic leaper, did a lot of great stuff. Some of the guys leaping now, they need to be a little bit careful. I would think Barkley would be one. Sometimes I think I don't think it's ESPN highlight culture flashing before Barkley's eyes. I think it's, hey, I can physically do this. And I did, which is great. We got to zoom the focus back somewhat. What is the purpose of the game? The purpose of the game is to move the ball from here to there more often than they move it the other way. Sometimes I think self-preservation needs to be considered a little more by some of these guys. Nobody wants to see a Javid Best type injury. Barkley's play was fantastic. I'm the not quite old man saying, hey, pump the brakes. Let's be careful and not do something stupid that's going to end your career early.
I texted Le'Veon and said, look what you've started.
He did. And look, Le'Veon Bell was the best running back in the sport for a number of years. He made a weird decision with his contract. I don't know if it keeps him out of the Hall of Fame, but there are so many highlights, and it was like he was playing Frogger, and he was very successful with that. That's fine. Jumping backward, having no idea what's behind you, let's leave that as a one-time deal for Saquon. This is not Ozzie Smith on opening day doing the backflip when nobody's around Busch Stadium. Yep, you remember that too out there. Somebody just remembered that. Oh, that was great. Yeah. Let's be a little careful. There's a little too much leaping. I got a bad feeling we're going to see a very major injury from a leap gone wrong within the next 2 or 3 years.
All right, John, before we make our picks this week, where are we at on the scoreboard?
The script just got flipped. Somebody made a mistake believing in Seattle. You have gone from down 1 now to up 1. This is a pain, but that's what happens. It's very simple, folks. We're just trying to get them right. There's no, I play off you, you play off me. It's literally just trying to get them right. That's enough of the work that needs to be done. So this week,
we're going to pick 5 games, and I'm going to go first because everyone says I'm carpet bagging you.
Yes, that's great. Well, the first one is going to be is the Thursday night game. Are you want to still do that one? Can people hold on? Can they understand that we're doing it before? Or you want to throw it away?
Yeah, we're doing this before. We're taping this before, so it's we're taping it tonight with the game going on.
Yes,
but we're airing it Saturday. So go ahead.
Now listen to this exciting stuff. These are the best games, most interesting games of the week. The Bengals at Ravens is critical. It's an absolute must. The Ravens can sweep the Bengals and put another nail in their season's coffin. The Bengals have to have this to win. They have to. They had plenty of success against the Raiders. That hurts them. I'm going to go with the Ravens as well. You got to keep your pace when you're running very well. Detroit Lions, your hat comes off. Houston at home. Detroit is at Houston. They both must keep pace. This is a situation. The Lions are in this division that is insane, right? It's insane. Houston is in a situation where they can start to try to think about closing their division out relatively soon. Detroit at Houston, you're on the lead again here.
I'm taking Detroit.
I am taking Houston. It doesn't matter if I pick first, second, or third. Houston, let's go. Pittsburgh at Washington. These two, unexpectedly at the top of their divisions. What you're starting to see, you're a little worried that they start to slide. Regression to the mean for the math majors out there. Regression to the mean. Trouble zone. Really easy commute for the Steelers to get from Pittsburgh to DC. There will be plenty of those towels. This one, I'm going to let you go first, but I already know who I'm taking.
I'm taking Washington.
This is a Mike Tomlin special. Upset. Steelers. I hate to pick against my own. Steelers.
What do you mean an upset? Are the Steelers? I would assume the Steelers are favored. Are they not?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't look. I don't know. But it's got to be a road favorite. That's tricky. And again, how much of it you're going to see some road field advantage. It's 4 hours away. So that's going to happen. Now, listen, some folks know because we saw it on Thanksgiving a couple times, and hopefully we'll see it again. The Falcons and the Saints don't like each other. That is their rival, the top run for each. It's fun. It's chippy. And what happens to rivalry games when the seasons are going lopsided ways is sometimes that's where they get a little more fuel. So the Falcons are going to the Saints. The only reason it's interesting is the Falcons avoided the trap in Dallas, but this is a classic game where you would think the Falcons are going to fall on their face and nothing would help make the Saints weak of massive change and turmoil and transition, like whacking their top rival. Falcons at Saints. Is this a trap game?
Falcons. The Fighting Kirk Cousinses.
I like the way the Falcons are assessing the talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball and utilizing it. I just wish they had one more piece, name either Bowers or Odunze. If I was a Falcon fan, I'm not really. I mean, I don't hate them, obviously, but I think that they're going to pay that price at some point. If they had another weapon or a guy that could rush, whoo. Bonus game. Schedule maker. What are you doing to Tampa? Get your schedules out, folks. Look what Tampa just had to do. They went to Kansas City on Monday night. 6 days later, 1 o'clock kickoff, they're hosting San Francisco. Now, the reason I say the schedule maker did this is when the schedule maker made the schedule and it popped out randomly, it knew that it was sticking Tampa with a 6-day window of playing 2 Super Bowl caliber teams. Regardless of what happened Monday night, regardless of what happened in the week before when they lost Godwin and they lost Evans. This is not easy, is it? San Francisco coming to Tampa. This could be really
49ers.
Yeah, I think the 49ers are going to win as well. And if I'm a Tampa fan, I got real issues with the schedule maker. You're giving me the Chiefs on the road 6 days later at 1 o'clock. Okay, it's 1 o'clock, so it's a little help, I guess, with the San Francisco time zone. But are you serious? Kansas City, and then 6 days later, the Chiefs fire up that ship in Tampa Bay. They got a beef with the schedule man.
It rains on the just and the unjust, John. All right. He's the great Johnny Shop. John, tell him where to find you on X.
At JP Spartan.
Or as Jim Rome calls him, Johnny in East Lansing. We'll see you next time, John. Aloha.